Hi everyone, how you going? So, I just thought I'd come back on and have a little bit of a chat. There's an article that's been floating around since 2016. Originally it was published by the AIM network, independent network, but it was removed because it is misinformation. And the article is called "The Welfare Card Exposes Corruption Disguised as Philanthropy." Now, this article was removed by AIM. It pops up every now and then. It is misinformation. The LNP do not own Indu. Okay? We do not publish it on any of our pages, and if you post it in the comments, we will remove it because we don't want to be sued. We don't want to be sued. The information that we post to these pages, right, we fact check, we research, we do all the work to make sure it's right. We go through the legislations, we go through the Senate inquiries, the Senate estimates. We get all the correct information for you guys, right? And when somebody posts this to any page, it causes a load of grief for us because we have to keep going out and putting out the spot fires of confusion that this article causes. All right? So I just want to clarify some stuff, right? Because this is very important, right? LNP do not own Indu. Let's get that really clear, okay? And any page that publishes that leaves themselves open to being sued, legally liable, okay? So it's a good idea for admins when they see that pop on their pages, get it off the page because you can be sued personally by LNP members for that, okay? We've been there, done that, had the warnings in the early days in the piece when the article first came up before we fact-checked it all, right? So, this is about the misinformation, Daniel. We do want to scrap the whole program, but it's no good if the information that we post is not correct, right? Now, we have a certain level of credibility and integrity to protect, and we will do that. Okay? Let me read to you the correct information so that when you see this article come up again, you know that it's not true and you know what the facts are. Okay? This is very important. And this is, I don't know, last time it came up last year, we had a chase all over the, So, Deborah Lard says, who owns Indu, right? And I'm about to tell you, okay? Okie dokie. It's best if I read it from these comments. Indu is owned by several COBA member credit unions, a few small mutuals and banks, right? A-class voting members of these institutions and B-class silent supporters are therefore Indu Limited's owners, okay? For all the masses of corruption around this card, subcontracts to LNP companies and millions of malicious pork barrelling, despite LNP's direct involvement with the company itself, indeed it was founded by both ALP and LNP ministers and overseen by Nationals Larry Anthony until 2013. LNP as a party do not own the company, okay? Please be careful with the information you permit that is accessible on social media, because it's a massive fines and even jail time under Corporate Act, So I am reading, I'm reading Amanda Smith's comments here because she was able to put it up quicker than me. You know what I mean? Indu does suck. We know that, Deborah. So we just don't want to have any reason for them to say you're spreading misinformation from anybody. We want everybody to have the correct information so that when someone comes along and puts out the wrong information, you can tell them the truth and correct them. But yeah, it just gets really frustrating because we have to keep running around putting out the fires that this article causes and correct people's misunderstandings. Do you know what I mean? And it's just a lot of work on our admins across the whole internet. It's a total distraction. And last time round, it's like we tear our hair out every time we see it. I hate it when I do a Google search and I see it up there, right? Because people go, who owns Indu? Well, if you do a Google search, it's right there in the top. But this article is right underneath it. You know, this article shouldn't even be on the net, in my opinion, right? Because it's an opinion based. The guy that wrote it, until somebody can come up with the factual paper trail that puts an MP's name in direct connection to something to Indu, we can't publish that. That's wrong. That's the way we are. We publish what is fact, okay? And that's all we can do. That's what we have to do. You know? So, yeah. And it causes distractions. It causes problems. It gaslights us, yes. And it's like, our main admins that have been doing this for 5 years, the minute we see it, it's like, oh no, not again. Right? Because it means we have to spend time, right, going over through all the threads where it's posted and correcting it until it disappears again. And it seems to raise its head every 6 or 7 months. Somebody will find it and post it. But if you post it in the comments on our pages, it'll be gone. If I find it in the community comments, it'll be gone, right? And if someone tries to post it to one of our groups, it won't get up there. It'll get declined. If we feel that a meme is incorrect, we won't post it to our groups either. It might be a really good meme, but if it's misleading or incorrect, I can't put it on the pages. All right? I'll only put information that's factual and correct on the pages. All right? And of course, I'll post up the card holder stories on the pages when they post them to us. Right? I'll post everything that you guys need, as long as it's fact. Information that we get sent, right? We double check it. We don't just post stuff up and not check it, okay? We have to check it all. Because, you know, we are the biggest group of no card. And we have a responsibility to make sure that you guys get the correct information. It is important to appoint Nick as to who owns it and the administration of it, because people have a right to know where their money's going, okay? And what it's doing, okay? And the fact that Indu are being given freely Social Security budget money that normally go into someone's bank account, right, which is their legal fiscal worth under law, is being usurped and diverted to Indu. The 80%, and Indu own that money, not the recipient, because under law it didn't go into their bank account. Under Australian law, your Social Security payments are no longer Social Security payments once they hit your bank account. They are your legal fiscal worth, right? Your legal income. And because that 80% doesn't go to your bank account, it goes to Indu's bank account. It becomes their legal income, okay? So it is important to know some of the background details of the contract costings and the fact that the Social Security money is just being handed over. You know what I mean? Stella Bell says, isn't that breaking the law? Well, technically, yes, because the Protections of Payments Act, which protects everybody's Social Security payments from being taken over by a third party without their consent, right? That's where they have gone around the law, and they have used an, I get my words mixed up sometimes. But put it this way, the basic way to say it is they've exempted card holders from the protection of that law. They haven't changed it. They haven't removed that law. They've just gone around it. Okay? So if you're on a card, you're exempted from the protection of that law. That's why I keep going on about your legal protections under law being removed, because they've gone around the law, right? They are not endorsing their own laws. They're not protecting their own laws. They're not protecting the recipient. Okay? And it was revealed the last time that Rachel Seward questioned them on this, that they are being just given the money. India are just being given the money. See, our social security payments come from the RBA bank. Nothing to do with taxpayers' money and all this other neoliberal crap, right? And it's supposed to come from the RBA to you, right? You know what I mean? It's not supposed to be diverted. And because you don't get it in your bank account, you don't own it. India own it. This is called the privatisation of social security, where the government, and I've said this before, is shirking their responsibility to the Australian people by wanting to sell off and privatise everything, including our social security. And along the way, you lose your consumer protections under law. You lose your protections of payment through social security, right? You lose your privacy protections. You lose your autonomy. And your human rights are being breached along the way. Your right to social security, right? There's 7 breaches of international human rights laws here involved. And this is a big deal. So we try to get across to people, it's the loss of rights that people need to wake up to. The fact that you're removing the rights from social security recipients, Australian citizens. I'm on a DSP, but I'm not on a card, so all of my rights are protected at this time. But in the new bill, they're also removing statutory rights under law. We don't even do that to prisoners that are convicted in prison. You know? So, my question is, why do people receiving social security, right, have less rights than a convicted person who's sitting in a prison cell, when the person on social security has not committed any crime? It's not illegal to receive social security. It is an inalienable right under Australian law to be able to apply for that social security, and it's up to the government if you're eligible for it. Bottom line. And if they say you're eligible for it, that is your legal fiscal worth. All right? That is your legal income. It's not handouts. It's not taxpayers' money. It's your legal income, provided to you by a country that has a social security system. And under international law, you have a right to social security. This country's put those human rights together after World War II. Along with the other countries, they helped set down that International Charter of Human Rights. So, it's economic apartheid. It's apartheid, especially in regards to the First Nations people of this country, right? It creates social exclusion, and it's breaking people, and it's disgusting, and it needs to go. We're not going to stop fighting it, and I hope you guys aren't going to stop fighting it, and we want to be able to empower card holders to stand up and fight more as well. They need the support and the encouragement, right, to be able to be empowered enough to stand up and say, I've had a gut full of this. I want my rights back. Okay? Because nobody in this country should be made a lesser citizen just because they receive youth allowance, job seeker, disability support pension, carers payments, part pensions, right? Parenting payments, family tax A and B, etc. You know what I mean? Nobody should be treated the way this government is treating people and our low-paid workers. Don't forget, our workers out there are also under the pump. The omnibus bill, which will try and strip away their workers' protections and their wages protections, right, is going to hurt just as bad. And it could end up with a lot of people on the card. We need to get people to understand that working people and non-working people need to stand up together and stop the whole punitive system, which is kicking the working class. This is a war on the poor and a war on the people who don't earn $250,000 a year. That's basically what it is. You know? So, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that, because I hate having to run around and put out spot fires after that bloody article pops up every time. It drives me nuts. And it's like, been doing it for 5 years. And that article is so stressful. and hopefully people will know the article I'm talking about and realise don't share it, okay? Okay, at the moment, in March, old age pensioners go on the card in Cape York, okay? Every other region, it's voluntary, all right? Now, there is another income management paperwork floating around that shows the age pension service pensions payments through the VEA on category H payments for income management basics card that's different. I'm still trying to get clarity on that, so I'm not going to promote that, but it needs to be a wake-up call to people that in that document it lists all the basics card regions. It doesn't just say it's Northern Territory, okay? So people, I need a chance to be able to get hold of a policy advisor to go through that again, because the way it's presented by the department makes it look as though everybody's going on basics card anyway in the basics card regions, if they can get away with it. If that is the case, then you've got a situation where then people can be pushed onto the cashless debit card via the basics card, and we don't want that either. So, but that's all I'm going to say about that, because that's really confusing. Basics card has different rules for vulnerability, volunteer, or I don't see how you can volunteer, because in the Northern Territory it's compulsory, and outside the Northern Territory, if you're on youth allowance, it's compulsory anyway. So Trin Vin, what can we do? Is there something legal happening? I don't know what's happening in the bays of politics regarding the legals, but if anybody can talk to a lawyer about all of this stuff, it'd be really good. We've been trying for ages, because there is legal issues here that need to be nutted out. For a start, the letter, the notice of no action was only supposed to be for the first trial, which is Seduna. Was that for the first year? Because they kept extending and extending, right? That was a notice of no action in regards to the breach of consumer law. So, yeah. So, in the fact that they've sent out cards to people unsolicited, they've solicited, but they've sent the cards out, set them up in people's names without the consent, is illegal under ASIC law, okay? But they were given a notice of no action for the first trial. It gets very confusing, and it needs lawyers to look at it. And when I ring any, it's like I just get the bum's rush, you know what I mean? I'm still waiting for Sunshine Coast Legals to ring me back from 4 weeks ago. And I've been playing this game now for 4 years. And yeah. But I have heard of card holders who have been able to go and see a solicitor, and they get off the card like that the minute they go in and see a solicitor, and they go this and bang. But you've got to have the money to go and see a solicitor. We did petitions. We put in a petition. We tabled it. We've done 2 where we've tabled them both to Senate inquiries. Trin Vin, the last one we did had 9,500 signatures on it. Yep, we took that all the way to Canberra, and we handed it in ourselves. On both occasions, we've tabled the petitions that we've done in the past in person. The first one being in 2017, we tabled it at the Senate inquiry, and the second one, Rachel Seawood tabled on our behalf, but we took it to Canberra. So, we've done petitions, and there's been other petitions out there that people have done. There's an old one of mine still floating around in cyberspace that I don't even know what to do with when it does pop up, because it's not as straightforward as the one that we did before, as to try and getting to download it. Do you know what I mean? And all its signatures. So, we've done submissions. We've encouraged people to do submissions. Yeah, Deborah Laird says we need more than 9,000 signatures. You need about 100,000 signatures minimum. The Greens do have a petition against the card, and you'll probably find it on their page. It's still going as far as I know. They do have one. If not, just contact Rachel Seward's page, because I'm sure she'd still have a link for their petition if they've still got it going. I know they had it going before the last vote went through in December. So, yeah. I don't know. We'll have a look at it. Trinvin, we've got... Deborah, that's not easy to organise. You need people on the ground. You need volunteers. You need insurances. It's things... Marches in every city in Oz is very difficult to organise. Very difficult. I've done so many protests where 5 people, 6 people, 10 people turn up. Card holders are terrified to come out for fear of retaliation or whatever. It's very difficult to get people out in the streets. It's very difficult. We want people to do stuff and engage, and I'm hoping in the near future there's going to be some stuff happening, and we will be trying to encourage all of you guys to get engaged with us online and more in the next month or so. But at the moment I'm sort of in talks with other people and other groups, and I'm not at liberty to be able to display, to talk about what's going on until they decide that's it, it's all organised, set up, and we can publish it. You know what I mean? I know one thing, I need to be in Canberra sometime in March, and I need to keep pushing to raise money to get there, and also I'm going to need to be in Brisbane as well, and that's where I'm going to need a bit of accommodation money, because I live regional Queensland. For me to drive down to do something and then drive back on the same day, I'm physically not able to do it anymore. And I found out last week about trying to drive home from Brisbane after being in Brisbane all day. It took me all night to get home because I had to keep pulling over because I just couldn't stay awake. So no. So it's easier for me when I'm doing stuff in Brisbane to go down the day before, stay that night and do whatever, and then come back. So, yeah, so... Oh, yeah, Anne Ruston's office is in King William Street in the Commonwealth Bank building, Daniel. And the problem with that is, last time we sent somebody there with their banners, security came out and moved them on because, yeah, it's outside the Commonwealth Bank and her office is in that same building. Yeah, it's all right. We've tried talking to business owners when the card first came here, Stella Bell, and there's business owners in Seduna that know all about the impact and the damage that the cashless debit card has done to their business. Yeah. So, at the moment, Rebecca, I'll have information. I'll have all the full details for everything that we're doing in the next month, in the next 2 weeks. But in the meantime, I've just got to raise the money to make sure I can go and do everything I've got to do in the next month. One thing we do need to do is I've found the company that did our stickers for us before. I want to place an order for stickers. People want stickers, and I need to get a couple of new banners made, so that they're not that hard to get made. There may be a slight delay because both of the companies that do the printing for that sort of stuff for us, that have provided us with the best prices, are in Victoria, which is in lockdown right at the moment. But I can probably still place orders and they'll do their best to get them out to us as fast as they can, as soon as they go into stage 3 lockdown instead of stage 4. So we'll just have to wait and see. So anyway, I'll get off for now. I just wanted to clarify that about that article, which drives us all nuts, right? It just drives us up the wall. But at least you know the facts. There is a post on the national page. We posted it a while back with all of the costings as well for Indu, and all the contract costings. However, the government have now made it that all new costings are not for publication. And they've never released the costings for Hinkler or Kalgoorlie. They're still under commercial in confidence. So we can't get access to those costings. So the costings are out there at the moment are basically for Seduna, Kununurra, and, you know, the cost of the cards and the contracts to their other stakeholders. You know what I mean? Trinvin, thank you very much, but I don't do all of the work. You have to thank SN7 for a large amount of the research that's gone into this. Put it this way, the SN7 team behind me, they translate the legalese into English, and then I translate it so that you guys understand what it's about. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Rebecca. Just send me a message so that I can connect with you privately on that as well. So, yeah, I never take credit for it all, mate. I can't, because I haven't done it all. I'm the mouthpiece, I'm the face that you get to see. And there's a team behind me that do all the work, the research work. I couldn't do it all. I just couldn't do it all. It's weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of reading and research and trying to translate legalese into English and work out what their abbreviations are and their little codes are, and it's a nightmare, reading policy and sorting it all out, doing all the research. So, yeah, I will never take credit for doing all of that, because I don't do that bit. I'm the person who comes out and bleh. To the best of my abilities, I put it into English for you guys to be able to understand, so that we can all understand it. Because the government loves writing in code. They really do. When we first saw this last lot of legislation, it was like, oh my God, what language are they speaking? Cracking the code, it was like, you needed an enigma machine, you know what I mean? It was shocking, but got through it. I think we'll get through it again. Don't want to do that again. Not like that. Yeah, so it doesn't, Julie Collins says, doesn't help when the goalposts are changed. Well, they do that all the time. The government's very good at moving the goalposts on everything they do. And it's like, oh my God, now we've got to go see what they've changed, and it's really hard to track down. But we'll get it there. All right, guys, have a good night, and I'll talk to you again another time. Kelly Marie says they're speaking in tongues. Oh my God. Shh, legal tongues, yeah. I know what you meant. Anyway, with that, I'm out of here. I don't speak in tongues. I speak English, Aussie, Bogan, whatever, but not in tongues. Okay, people. Good night. See ya.